What I'm about to show you may completely change the way you think about flax seeds, blood pressure, and that innocent little spoonful people keep adding to breakfast every morning. Because for some seniors, flaxseed becomes one of the smartest food choices they ever make. But for others, it becomes the beginning of a very dangerous misunderstanding. They think they're helping their blood pressure, when in reality, they're canceling the benefit, confusing their numbers, or worse, putting themselves at risk because of one simple mistake they didn't know mattered. I'm Dr. Sarah J. Miller, and if you or someone you love is trying to lower blood pressure naturally, what you learned today could save you from a serious health mistake. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel, tap the bell, and join our family for simple, life-saving health guidance. Now here's the part most people never hear. Flaxseed is not fake. It's not just internet hype. There is real science behind why it can support healthier blood pressure. But the effect doesn't come from magic, and it definitely doesn't come from just sprinkling a few pretty seeds on top of a muffin and hoping for the best. It comes from using the right form, in the right amount, in the right situation, with the right expectations. And that's where people go wrong, over and over again. They hear that flaxseed is good for the heart, and they assume any flaxseed, at any time, in any way, must be helping. That assumption is exactly what gets people into trouble. Let me tell you about Eleanor, because her story explains the problem better than any chart ever could. Eleanor was 72, careful, disciplined, the kind of person who followed instructions exactly. Her daughter read an article about flax seeds and bought her a bag. Every morning, Eleanor started adding them to her breakfast because she wanted to help her blood pressure naturally. 3 weeks later, she called her doctor confused. Her readings were all over the place. Some days lower, some days higher. Some days she felt lightheaded. Other days bloated and miserable. She told herself the flaxseed must not work, but that wasn't the truth. Not even close. The truth was that Eleanor had made 2 mistakes without realizing it, and those mistakes were strong enough to hide any benefit before it had a chance to show up. And that's what today's video is really about. Not whether flaxseed is good or bad. That's too simplistic. The real question is whether you're using it in a way your body can actually benefit from. Because flaxseed can support blood pressure, cholesterol, and vascular health for the right person. But these 5 mistakes can sabotage it, delay it, or turn a smart idea into a dangerous one. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those 5 mistakes are. More importantly, you'll know which one is so serious that it can make a senior stop medication too soon, ignore warning signs, and end up with blood pressure that becomes more dangerous, not less. But before we get to that biggest mistake, we need to start with number 5. Mistake number 5 is using whole flax seeds and assuming your body is getting the benefit. This one sounds small. It sounds almost petty. People hear it and think, come on, a seed is a seed. Whole, ground, crushed, sprinkled, who cares? Your body cares. Your digestion cares. Your blood pressure cares. Because flaxseed isn't helpful just because it enters your mouth. It has to be broken down well enough for your body to reach what's inside it. And if that doesn't happen, then a large part of what you think you're taking in is simply passing through you. You feel virtuous, you feel disciplined, you feel like you're doing something heart healthy, but your bloodstream may barely notice. Let me tell you about Walter. Walter was 76, retired military, tough as nails, loved routines. He had heard that flaxseed could help with blood pressure, so every morning he added a spoonful of whole seeds to his cereal. Crunchy, easy, done. For almost 2 months, he never missed a day. He was proud of himself. Then one afternoon, he told his wife, I don't understand it. I'm doing everything right and nothing's changing. His blood pressure hadn't improved the way he expected. His digestion was irregular. And here's what his wife noticed before he did. She kept seeing those same little seeds in the toilet. That was the clue, the one that changed everything. Walter was swallowing whole flax seeds, but his body wasn't really accessing them efficiently. Here's why this matters. Flaxseed has a tough outer shell. If it stays intact, much of the omega-3 fat fiber effect and lignin content you're hoping for may not be fully available to your body. That means you can be doing the ritual without getting the real physiological payoff. This is why ground or milled flaxseed matters so much. Not because it sounds fancy, but because it improves access. It gives your digestive system a chance to actually work with the seed instead of fighting through a protective casing. And for seniors, this matters even more. Because slower digestion, dental limitations, and inconsistent chewing can make whole seeds even less reliable. Walter switched to ground flaxseed, and within a few weeks, his routine started making a lot more sense. But Walter's story leads us straight into mistake number 4, because some people hear, ground flaxseed is better, and then make a different mistake that ruins the whole plan anyway. They think any flax product must work the same way. Whole seeds, ground meal, capsules, oil, baked bars, fortified cookies, whatever is easiest. That assumption is a problem, because not all flax products behave the same in the body. And when people choose the wrong form, they often think they're taking a powerful blood pressure food when they're really taking a much weaker version of it, or a version missing one of the very features that made the original research so impressive. Mistake number 4 is using the wrong form or a meaningless amount. Let me tell you about Janice. Janice was 69 and loved convenience. She saw flaxseed oil capsules at the store and thought, perfect. Easier than grinding, easier than mixing, easier than changing breakfast. She took one capsule in the morning, kept eating the same salty frozen meals at lunch, and told everyone she was doing flaxseed for blood pressure now. A month later, she was frustrated. No real change. Then she tried switching to a blueberry flax muffin from the bakery and felt even more convinced she was on the right track. But the truth was painful, because Janice wasn't doing what the helpful studies did. She was doing the simplified, commercialized version that felt healthy without actually delivering the same package. This is a critical point, so stay with me. The stronger blood pressure data people talk about did not come from a decorative dusting of flax on top of dessert. It didn't come from a single tiny capsule while everything else in the diet stayed chaotic. It came from meaningful, regular intake, often ground flaxseed, used consistently over time. And that distinction changes everything. Flaxseed oil can provide plant omega-3 fat, yes, but it doesn't carry the full fiber content that ground flaxseed does. A flax muffin may contain sugar, refined flour, and sodium that work against the very goal you care about. And a tiny token amount may simply be too small to matter. Janice didn't need a more expensive brand. She needed the right form and a realistic amount. Now, before I reveal mistake number 3, I need you to understand something that almost no one explains clearly. Natural does not mean harmless. Food-based does not mean unlimited. And healthy for the right person does not mean healthy in any amount, under any condition, with any body, at any speed. That misunderstanding is why mistake number 3 happens so often. People get excited. They hear that flaxseed can help blood pressure. And because they're desperate for better numbers, they try to accelerate the process. They double it, triple it, dump it into everything. They think more must be better. And that is exactly when the body starts pushing back. Mistake number 3 is taking too much too fast, especially without enough fluid. Let me tell you about Dennis. Dennis was 74 and scared of his rising blood pressure. He'd seen 2 high readings in 1 week, and that was enough to terrify him. So when he heard flaxseed might help, he didn't start gently. He started aggressively, 2 heaping spoonfuls in oatmeal at breakfast, more in yogurt at lunch, more in soup at dinner. By day 3, he was bloated. By day 5, he was cramping. Then the diarrhea started. He felt weak, washed out, and shaky. And when he checked his blood pressure, it looked strange enough to scare him even more. He thought the flaxseed was failing. The reality was that he had overloaded his digestive system faster than it could adapt. Fiber is powerful. That's part of why flaxseed can be useful. But fiber is not a switch you slam upward overnight. If you dramatically increase fiber without enough water, your gut can punish you for it. If you take a lot of flax very quickly, you may end up with bloating, gas, urgency, constipation, or diarrhea, depending on how your body responds. And for seniors, that matters because digestive stress changes how you feel, how you hydrate, and sometimes how you interpret your blood pressure symptoms. You get dizzy and think your pressure crashed. You feel uncomfortable and tense, and your readings climb. You stop the routine, not because flaxseed was useless, but because you used too much too soon. Dennis eventually restarted the right way, slowly, with fluids, and the experience was completely different. This is the non-negotiable rule. If your body isn't used to high-fiber foods, you start low and move gradually. You do not declare war on your intestines because you're trying to help your arteries. A teaspoon can be a very reasonable place to begin. Then you build based on tolerance, hydration, and common sense. And while you're doing that, you pay attention to how your body feels, not just what the label promises. Because if mistake number 3 teaches us anything, it's this: the body rewards consistency much more than intensity. But the next mistake is even more serious, because this one isn't just uncomfortable. This one can interfere with the very medicines seniors depend on. Mistake number 2 is taking flaxseed at the wrong time around medication, or using it without considering interactions and blood pressure changes. Let me tell you about Lorraine. Lorraine was 71, taking medication for blood pressure, thyroid support, and a blood thinner after a heart rhythm problem. She started adding ground flaxseed to a morning shake because it seemed healthy and gentle. No one had told her to be careful, so she took everything together. Pills, shake, flaxseed, done. 2 weeks later, she felt off. Some mornings she felt unusually weak. Other days her schedule felt inconsistent. She assumed aging was the problem. But when her doctor reviewed her routine, the issue became clear, or at least concerning enough to matter. Lorraine had layered a concentrated fiber supplement-like food right on top of oral medications without any planning at all. This is where people need to be mature and careful. Flaxseed can help some people, but it can also complicate things if you treat it like a harmless garnish when you're actually using it like a therapeutic food. High-fiber foods and supplements can affect how some oral medicines are absorbed when taken at the same time. Flaxseed may also have blood pressure-lowering effects, which sounds great until you're already on medication and start getting lightheaded, especially if your numbers were close to target already. And flax products raise special caution for people on anticoagulant or antiplatelet therapy, or those with complicated medical histories. That doesn't mean no one on medication can use flaxseed. It means you don't play guessing games with timing, dosing, or symptoms. Lorraine separated her routine and involved her clinician, and suddenly the confusion started clearing. Now, if you think that's the biggest danger, it isn't. It's serious, yes. But it still isn't the mistake that scares me most. The mistake that scares me most is the one people make the moment they see 1 or 2 better readings and decide they've discovered a natural replacement for medical care. This is the mistake that turns hope into overconfidence. It turns progress into recklessness. It turns a useful food into a false sense of security. And if you've ever had a moment where you thought, maybe I can just do this naturally and stop everything else, then please stay with me, because mistake number 1 is where lives get put at risk. Mistake number 1 is using flaxseed as a substitute for treatment instead of as part of a treatment plan. Let me tell you about Arthur. Arthur was 73, stubborn, intelligent, kind, and deeply tired of pills. He hated the way medication reminded him that he was getting older. So when he started eating ground flaxseed every day and saw a few lower home readings, he felt hopeful for the first time in months. He didn't tell his doctor. He didn't review a log. He didn't wait. He just decided on his own that the flaxseed was working so well, he could cut his medication in half. For a few days, he felt fine. Then the headaches came back. Then the pressure in his face. Then one morning, his reading was frighteningly high. And by evening, he was in urgent care. This is the trap. People hear that flaxseed can lower blood pressure and translate that into, so maybe I don't need medication. No, not like that, not casually, not without supervision. Food can be powerful. Dietary change can be transformative. Some people absolutely improve enough that their physician later adjusts medication. But that process is supposed to happen with data, with consistency, with monitoring, and with medical oversight, not with a burst of optimism after 4 decent readings. Because blood pressure is sneaky. It doesn't always announce danger with dramatic symptoms. You can feel normal while it rises. You can feel hopeful while it rebounds. And when you stop or reduce treatment too soon, you may not realize the mistake until the risk has already returned. Arthur's problem was not flaxseed. Flaxseed was probably helping. The problem was that he turned a supportive habit into a replacement strategy before he had earned that decision medically. And that distinction matters so much. A helpful food is still a helpful food. It is not automatically a drug replacement. It is not a permission slip to ignore elevated numbers. It is not a reason to skip follow-up. And it is definitely not a reason to tell yourself that because something is natural, it must be safer than a carefully monitored treatment plan. Arthur stabilized once his physician rebuilt the plan properly, but he came very close to learning this lesson the hardest possible way. So now you know the 5 mistakes. Number 5, using whole seeds and assuming that's enough. Number 4, choosing the wrong form or an amount too tiny to matter. Number 3, taking too much too fast and forgetting the water your fiber needs. Number 2, ignoring medication timing, interactions, and the possibility of pressure dropping too far or care becoming inconsistent. And number 1, the biggest mistake of all, using flaxseed like a replacement for treatment instead of a tool within treatment. But I don't want to leave you with fear. I want to leave you with a safe, clear way to do this correctly. Because when seniors use flaxseed wisely, it can become a genuinely smart part of heart health support. Here is the practical approach I want you to remember. First, use ground or milled flaxseed, not whole seeds, if your goal is to actually absorb what you're paying for. You can buy it pre-ground or grind it yourself. But if it smells bitter or sour, don't ignore that. Freshness matters. Rancid flax is not something you power through because you hate wasting food. Store it properly. Pay attention to the expiration date, and remember that the convenient form is only helpful if it's still usable. A healthy routine is not just about the ingredient on the label. It's about whether the product is in a form your body can use, and in a condition worth using at all. Second, be honest about amount. The research that gets people excited did not rely on fairy dust. It used consistent, meaningful intake. That does not mean you should suddenly start swallowing giant piles of flaxseed tomorrow. It means you should stop pretending that a decorative sprinkle on a cookie has the same effect as a real daily habit. For many people, starting small and working upward makes sense. For some, 1 tablespoon daily may be a practical step. For others, more may be used intentionally over time. But the key idea is consistency, not theatrics. Not loading 3 times the amount one day and none for the next 4. Blood pressure responds to patterns, and your body does too. Third, respect the fiber. This is where people get careless. If you increase flaxseed, increase fluid sensibly too, unless your physician has told you to restrict fluids for a medical reason. Don't toss fiber into a dehydrated body and then act surprised when the digestive system rebels. If you notice bloating, cramping, constipation, or loose stools, that is not your body being dramatic. That is your body giving feedback. Listen to it. Slow down. Adjust. Seniors often get into trouble because they think discomfort is the price of doing something healthy. It isn't. The right routine should be sustainable. It should feel manageable. It should fit your body instead of battling it, day after day until you finally give up. Fourth, separate your enthusiasm from your medication schedule. If you take oral medicines, especially multiple medicines, don't casually pile flaxseed into the exact same moment and hope for the best. Review timing with your clinician or pharmacist. If you're on blood pressure medication and start feeling weak, dizzy, or unusually tired after changing your routine, don't shrug it off. Check your readings properly. Pay attention to patterns. If you take blood thinners or have a complex medical history, that conversation becomes even more important. Smart nutrition and smart medicine should work together, not compete. And that only happens when you stop thinking in extremes. Stop assuming natural means simple and start treating your body like the carefully balanced system it actually is. Fifth, and I need you to hear this clearly, keep monitoring your blood pressure like an adult, not like a gambler. Don't check 5 times in one anxious afternoon and then make big decisions based on the scariest number. Don't stop treatment because you had a good Tuesday. Don't panic because you had one strange morning. Build a calm log. Same general times, same routine, same posture, same honesty. Then share that information with the person helping you manage your blood pressure. That is how food becomes useful medically, not through internet excitement, but through measured patterns. If flaxseed helps you, wonderful. If it helps enough that your plan can later be adjusted, even better. But that decision must come from evidence, not wishful thinking. And I want to pause for one more important truth, because the title of videos like this can make people think the whole story is about speed. Fast is emotionally powerful. It gets attention. It gives hope. But here's the reality. Some people may see encouraging shifts in their readings sooner than expected when they clean up their diet and become consistent. But the strongest evidence we have for flaxseed and blood pressure is based on regular use over time, not overnight magic. So if you were hoping for 1 tablespoon today and perfect blood pressure tomorrow, that expectation is exactly the kind that sets people up to either quit too soon or do something reckless. The body is wiser than that, and slower than that. Sustainable change usually wins. Let me show you how all of this comes together with one final story. Gloria and Ben were both in their 70s, both trying to lower blood pressure, both excited about flaxseed. Gloria used whole seeds on toast, forgot her water, took random amounts, and stopped after a week because she felt bloated. Ben used ground flaxseed, started small, kept his meals simple, tracked his numbers, and checked in with his clinician because he was already on medication. 3 months later, Gloria was telling people flaxseed was nonsense. Ben was telling people it had become one useful part of a broader routine that finally felt sustainable. Same ingredient, 2 completely different outcomes. The difference was not luck, and it was not genetics. It was method. That is the hidden theme running through this entire video. Method is what determines whether a healthy idea becomes a health benefit or a health illusion. Seniors suffer when advice gets oversimplified. Eat this. Take that. This lowers blood pressure. Those phrases sound helpful, but without context, they can be dangerous. Flaxseed is not a miracle, but it is not meaningless either. It sits in that important middle ground where most real medicine lives. Useful, but only when used properly. Supportive, but not magic. Powerful, but still connected to dosage, timing, preparation, tolerance, and clinical judgment. And once you understand that, you stop chasing tricks and start building systems that actually protect your heart. If you've been making one of these mistakes, do not feel embarrassed. Really, most intelligent people make health mistakes because nobody ever explains the mechanism. They're told what to do, not why it matters. And when you don't understand why, you naturally improvise. You assume, you simplify. You trust the packaging. That is not stupidity. That is what happens when medical information gets reduced to slogans. My job is to help you see the hidden details that change the outcome. Because when you understand the hidden details, you stop being vulnerable to hype. You stop being pushed around by scary headlines. And you start making decisions from a place of calm, informed control. Which is exactly where health decisions belong. So, if you want the simplest takeaway possible, here it is. Ground flaxseed can absolutely be a smart addition to a blood pressure supportive lifestyle. But do it intelligently. Use the right form. Use a real amount. Increase gradually. Drink enough fluid. Respect your medications. Keep tracking. And never treat a food, no matter how promising, as permission to manage a serious condition by yourself. That's how you stay safe. That's how you make the benefit more likely. And that's how you avoid turning a good habit into a dangerous mistake. Small things really do change outcomes in medicine. And sometimes the smallest thing in the kitchen changes the numbers on the monitor more than people ever expected. If this helped you, subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because I make these videos for people who are tired of shallow health advice and ready for the truth. Share this with anyone who is trying to lower blood pressure naturally, especially a parent, spouse, sibling, or friend who has already bought flaxseed and thinks the job is done. It isn't done. Not until the method is right. Your heart deserves more than health trends. It deserves understanding. Take care of yourself, keep asking good questions, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep turning confusing medical advice into something you can actually use. If you've been making one of these mistakes, do not feel embarrassed. Really, most intelligent people make health mistakes because nobody ever explains the mechanism. They're told what to do, not why it matters. And when you don't understand why, you naturally improvise. You assume, you simplify. You trust the packaging. That is not stupidity. That is what happens when medical information gets reduced to slogans. My job is to help you see the hidden details that change the outcome. Because when you understand the hidden details, you stop being vulnerable to hype. You stop being pushed around by scary headlines. And you start making decisions from a place of calm, informed control. Which is exactly where health decisions belong. So, if you want the simplest takeaway possible, here it is. Ground flaxseed can absolutely be a smart addition to a blood pressure supportive lifestyle. But do it intelligently. Use the right form. Use a real amount. Increase gradually. Drink enough fluid. Respect your medications. Keep tracking. And never treat a food, no matter how promising, as permission to manage a serious condition by yourself. That's how you stay safe. That's how you make the benefit more likely. And that's how you avoid turning a good habit into a dangerous mistake. Small things really do change outcomes in medicine. And sometimes the smallest thing in the kitchen changes the numbers on the monitor more than people ever expected. If this helped you, subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because I make these videos for people who are tired of shallow health advice and ready for the truth. Share this with anyone who is trying to lower blood pressure naturally, especially a parent, spouse, sibling, or friend who has already bought flaxseed and thinks the job is done. It isn't done. Not until the method is right. Your heart deserves more than health trends. It deserves understanding. Take care of yourself, keep asking good questions, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep turning confusing medical advice into something you can actually use. So, if you want the simplest takeaway possible, here it is. Ground flaxseed can absolutely be a smart addition to a blood pressure supportive lifestyle. But do it intelligently. Use the right form. Use a real amount. Increase gradually. Drink enough fluid. Respect your medications. Keep tracking, and never treat a food, no matter how promising, as permission to manage a serious condition by yourself. That's how you stay safe. That's how you make the benefit more likely. And that's how you avoid turning a good habit into a dangerous mistake. Small things really do change outcomes in medicine. And sometimes the smallest thing in the kitchen changes the numbers on the monitor more than people ever expected.